It's 9 p.m. Do you know where your key fob is?
Hey there, Nate Benson here. Tonight on the agenda, there are two things I know to be true. There's no difference between good flan and bad flan, and Buffalo's tax levy is going up 25%, at least for now. That's according to Mayor Sean Ryan in a bombshell announcement on Thursday. News of that tax hike has made some members of the Common Council madder than a cat in a car wash. Plus, the Buffalo Board of Education held its first meeting since a scathing report was issued about district safety. Guess what was not on their agenda? The state gave an update on the new Bill Stadium, and Rob Hackford's in leather. Well, he's in a leather shop. All right, let's get this party started while we can. Tonight on the agenda, let's get it going. Thanks for spending some time with me this week. Mayor Ryan dropped a bit of a budget bombshell this week, one that no one really expected. During an event Thursday, he was asked an off-topic question that was somewhat related to city finances, and he revealed he will propose a 25% property tax levy increase. Here's what he had to say.
You know, we're down about half the garbage trucks we need to finish our routes, and we're not going to be able to buy those until we get a budget passed. So we're down about 50% of the garbage trucks we need, 50% of the snow plows we need, and we have police officers going 2 people to a car because we don't have enough police cars. So that's why this budget, it's critically important. So the budget year we're coming up on, we're estimating it's a $109 million deficit. If we were to close that deficit just using property tax money, we would never going to be able to close it. So we're looking at every tool we have to close this budget gap so we can buy snow plows, we can buy garbage trucks, we can buy police cars. So, we think we can get the gap down using efficiencies, state money from 109 to about $45 million. But, what does that mean, right? That $45 million gap means that every homeowner in Buffalo is going to be asked to pay about $20 to $30 a month more in taxes. So it'll be probably about, right now, the numbers are still back and forth, about a 25% tax increase. That's what we're looking at.
You say every homeowner, you're saying the average.
This is the average homeowner. Yeah, I mean, it'll vary based on, but the dead average for a house valued at about $225,000 is about $25 a month.
Members of the Common Council I spoke to were floored by that figure, and they told me it was news to them. Here's extended reaction from council members Halton Pope, Everhart, Golombek, and Bowman. Is this news to you?
Yeah, I learned when the rest of the world learned it. In a press conference, I guess it was an off-topic question, so I got it from the news.
Your initial reaction to that?
Well, it's speculative until you see something in writing. 25% is a bit high, and so I'm looking forward to seeing something on April the 15th. We just had the hearing, well, he just had his hearing on his ask to go over the 2% tax cap, and that wasn't mentioned then, so it's concerning.
Is that a sustainable increase that your constituents would be able to afford?
No, not at all. Not as it stands right now. No, I don't see it. But that's something that we're going to talk about. Just so happens that I have a stakeholders meeting this week, like we do every third Saturday, and so this will be a topic of conversation on Saturday. Oddly enough, we've invited the comptroller's office to talk, so I'm sure it'll come up. And in our last finance committee meeting, the commissioner said a different number. So, I think he said it was a $109 million deficit. Yeah.
My understanding of that number, after getting some clarification, if they get nothing, so if no compact money comes in, no garage sale, no Kathy Hochul funding, whatever, it would be $109 million. But even if they get everything that's on their wish list, it's still $45 million, which means he's got to up it to 25%.
Yeah, so if you go back to that finance committee meeting, the commissioner at the time says that if the ramps are sold with the $30 million that's coming in this year, and we get $11 million from the compact, then there is no deficit. The difference is between what the controller's office said and what the administration are saying is about $4.4 million. That was the difference in what they had. And so to hear 109 is a little different. And if you go back to that, because it's recorded, it's still there. If you go back and listen to it, one of the questions, the math didn't make sense. I didn't understand why both sides were speaking differently then. And now at 109, I'm very lost. And so I'm looking forward to part of the discussion that happens. This is his budget, and I think that's really important for the public to understand. In the council, we have to make a decision based on that. It's also important for people to know that if we vote no on it, it still passes.
He's planning a 25% tax increase. Did you have any idea?
No. The rumor had been, 15% roughly, and that was what I was expecting, somewhere in that range. So this was very surprising.
Is this a tax increase you can support?
No, absolutely not. And I certainly hope that the council will not skip our duties by going over the budget line by line this year. And looking at every single item in the budget and making cuts, finding places where we can make cuts. What I'm very disappointed in is that there is a lack of collegiality between the council and the second floor. I think that people could have come and talked to council members as a group, as individuals, to find out where there were places that perhaps cuts could have been made. We're all in this boat together, or at least that's the way it has been in previous administrations. This administration sort of treats us like, we're not even a part of the city of Buffalo. And it's not just with this budget process, it's with the way things are done in the city, with having to report to deputy mayors and commissioners and not being able to go to supervisors or foremen anymore. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And I, for one, want to go through the budget book line by line by line and taking a look at every single job, every single new job that's been created, every single exempt position that's been created, and that includes the council's budget as well. I think that there's places that we need to very seriously look at cutting positions, and I've been doing that for the past 2 years. I've been voting against new positions. I've been voting against filling vacant positions, and I'm going to continue to do so. And I warned my colleagues. I said I was here during the crisis of 2003 when we got the control board, and that this day was coming. I said, you don't know what's going to be hitting you, and this hit us a couple of weeks earlier than I expected. But this is what we need to do. We need to sit down, look at that budget book, and go through it line by line and look at every single position that there is and make cuts. Problem is that with the 25% increase in taxes, that equals about $50 million. So 1% is $2 million. And so if we tried to get down to a 15% tax hike, that means that we would have to cut $20 million. It's going to be very, very tough, but I think that we have to look at that budget line by line. My colleagues wanted 3 extra weeks to look at the budget. Well, now we got a reason to look at it, and we damn well better.
Mayor Ryan today said, homes assessed at $225,000 are going to see about $20 to $30 extra per month on their tax bill. That equates to anywhere between $240 and $360 a year. In your district, you mentioned Second Porce. Obviously, the assessments might be a little bit lower. Maybe if they're in that $75,000 to $125,000 range, so they might be paying $10, $20 extra a month. Is that still too much?
Absolutely. It's too much when there's positions that could have and should have been cut. Now, the problem, of course, is, Nate, I haven't seen the actual budget book yet, so I don't know if there actually have been cuts that have been proposed or that have been made. So I'm speaking a little bit early on that, but I'm telling you right now, we need to look at that book and we need to look at every single position that's in there and make cuts because, when you talk about, $30 a month isn't a lot. You know what? When you live in an elite neighborhood in the city of Buffalo and when you're very upper class and you make very, very good money, it's easy to tell poor people in my neighborhood, $30 a month isn't going to be too much. Yeah, it is. It is going to be too much.
Is this the first time you're hearing that?
That is the first time we're hearing it. I mean, obviously, whenever anyone hears a 25% tax increase, you know, it sends the alarm bells off, right? And listen, it's no secret the financial straits that the city of Buffalo is in. We're not going to pretend like it's not real and that we have issues right now. But, you know, I represent 30,000, a little more than 30,000 residents in the city of Buffalo. Many of them, well, they all live in an underserved community, right? Our zip codes needs to determine how much people can pay, and 25% is a jump, right? And I have to protect my residents. And listen, I don't know how this is going to shake out, but I know one thing is that I can't support a 25% tax increase. There's no way in the world my residents can afford that. We are already seeing rises in user fees and all different types of things. And, you know, I'm not trying to see my residents get pushed out of their neighborhood. And that 25% number, that's what that's going to look like.
You know, the mayor, the figures he dropped today, you know, homes assessed at $225,000, they'd be paying $20 to $30 more per month. Right now, you can't pay your tax bill on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
Anyone assessed lower than that certainly would be paying less. But again, just in your district, people on fixed incomes, people with limited income, is that just too much of an ask for them?
It is too much of an ask for them. And, you know, and that is one of the conversations that me and my colleagues are having is how do we fix the system to make it so that people can pay monthly for their fees or pay quarterly, right? Like they pay for certain things in the city of Buffalo. We have to have that conversation before we start jumping to a 25% tax increase. We have to make this affordable for the people. Again, I do not want to see the people in the Maston District priced out of their neighborhood, and that is a disservice that we would be doing if we implement a 25% tax increase.
It's a lot, 25%, significant. We were hearing 15 over the past couple of months and just comments that were going around City Hall. Now we're hearing 25, and I have a lot of questions. You know, it's not like on April 15th we'll have a budget book in front of us and we'll have, you know, more numbers, but you know, is this including the $30 million from the governor or not? I know that hasn't been voted on by the legislature, so a lot of questions more that we have than answers. So, you know, certainly be reaching out, and I know we'll get the budget April 15th, so we're going to be looking at it very close.
As it stands right now, though, I mean, we know that figure. You know, he said on a house assessed at $225,000, it's like 20, 30 extra bucks a month. You know, even though you can't pay your taxes on a monthly basis. As it stands right now with the information you have, could you support a 25% tax increase?
No, I wouldn't vote for 25%. And like I said, I was concerned with 15. And look, I represent a district where I have a lot of senior citizens on a fixed income. So their incomes aren't going up, their taxes are going up, gas is going up, utilities are going up, food costs are going up. So it's a lot. I'm here just finishing up a block club, my second one of the night, and I've been transparent with residents as the news broke. I've been trying to talk to them. They're concerned as well. Look, this is going to hurt their pockets. So I'm thinking, you know, budget process will be before us next month. You know, is there a way to spread this tax increase out? I get it. City's in a bad fiscal spot. So how do we, you know, communicate with the residents and make sure that, you know, that's what I want to do the next month, speak with my residents, and I've already been, and, you know, that's 15% was a big hit.
I reached council members Rivera, Scanlon, and Wyatt by phone Thursday night. They also said they do not support an increase that high. Buckle up, folks. Budget season will be must-see TV or streaming. All right, coming up on the agenda, I have a little chat with members of the school board about their agenda. But first, the weekend weather. Welcome back. The Buffalo School Board held its first regular meeting since a 100-page investigation was released that showed systemic safety gaps in the district. The only problem? Any discussion of that report was not on their agenda, so I went to the meeting to ask them about it. Hey there, Nate Benson here from Buffalo City Hall. It's been nearly a month since an independent investigation report was released to the public. Now, that report looked into misconduct allegations within the Buffalo public school system. Tonight was the first meeting since that report was issued, and it was not on the agenda. Which, by the way, is the name of the #1 streaming show Friday nights at 9 p.m. on WGRZ+. But we're not advertising for that right now. Please watch. The report outlined systemic issues within the Buffalo Public School District, particularly with school safety and 911 response. Since this was the first meeting since the report came out last month, one would assume the school board would talk about it during the regular meeting. They didn't. However, I chatted with board leadership about it during a break in Wednesday's meeting. Where do things stand? It's not on the agenda tonight. What's the board's temperature on everything?
Okay, so we released the information. It's on our website. We thank the independent investigator for their comprehensive investigation of the multiple allegations, which included interviews of 66 individuals and extensive review of documents. Currently, our district is looking at the recommendations. Some have been cleared, and some are now being reviewed and acted upon.
And this report gives us a roadmap, so the district is committed to following it. And we implemented some things immediately, and we're looking forward to continuing with the safety plan.
But since it's not being discussed during an open public meeting, what's been implemented as part of those recommendations?
Okay, so one I'm thinking about is that the school staff at School 59, the administrators and the museum administrators have cooperated and have decided on safety protocols together. They're on the same page with that.
I did inquire with board leadership about a possible public meeting so the report could be discussed openly by the public and the board itself. Any consideration of giving an actual dedicated meeting to address all the recommendations and all the concerns from the public?
Well, if it's requested by the community that we have a meeting, I think that we could possibly do that, yeah. The information has been released. We'll give the community time to digest it, and if they request a meeting, of course.
And please note that a lot of the recommendations we're not going to make public. They've been redacted in that report. And so that's not going to happen for the safety and protocols of our schools.
But safety is a priority.
However, that report outlined systemic problems with safety protocols within the school district. In other school board related news, the board rejected a candidate for interim COO that Dr. Pascal Mubenga had recommended in a 5-4 vote. That candidate was turned down, and now a special meeting will be needed to select a new one. On your side outside Buffalo City Hall, Nate Benson, Channel 2 News. Next on the agenda, the Erie County Stadium Corporation, Rob Hackford, and Leather. Oh my. Are we on? Are we about? Hi. Yes. Hello. We're back. The Erie County Stadium Corporation met earlier this week and provided an update on stadium construction and what the first event at the stadium might actually be. Bill COO Pete Gwelly also commented about a nearly complete Highmark Stadium.
Where we're at, I would say we're pushing almost 90% complete. Obviously heading towards the substantial completion date for this summer. Everything seems to be on track there. Still upwards of 1,500 people on the site during the weekdays, a good 1,000 or plus between Saturdays and Sundays working. It's a lot of finish work at this point. The signage and all the interior spaces and finishes like that, starting to move furniture, kitchen equipment in. Really, it's the finish, so we're going to get there.
How often are you guys now on sort of site and on the campus, so to speak, over there? Is it the same sort of actions that you've been doing before that, once a week or however much?
Yeah, I would say our team's cadence hasn't really changed a lot. I know the county is heavily involved with a lot of the inspections that are needed for the temporary certificate of occupancy that comes along with substantial completion. So they have a number of folks out there more regularly wrapping things up.
Keys still getting turned over June 1st? Is that sort of the plan?
Yeah, the construction manager should be wrapped up right around June 1st. Our agreement between the Bills and the state and the county really calls for a July 1st substantial completion date, and that's the point where we kick in the land transfer. So we're expecting sometime in July, probably no later than August 1st, the state will actually take ownership of the campus.
So no later than August 1st, so right. It could be up to
It could be up to August 1st, yeah.
Okay, so they have a little bit of time to play with, so to speak?
Yes, yeah, they built a little time into their schedule. They have the construction manager schedules June 1st. The agreement with the Bills and ourselves is July 1st, so they already had some time. And then, of course, the land transfer, there's just paperwork that has to be done.
Okay, yeah, I know the Bills last week were saying June 1st, so I guess their eagerness to get things complete are included kind of in that date where you have some flexibility built in.
Yeah, exactly. That's the Bills date with the construction manager is the June 1st date, And I think they purposely built 30 days in to ensure that they hit their date with us, which is July 1st.
Okay,
Yeah.
I guess within that 30 days, would it be final inspection, this decal needs to go up here, that needs to be adjusted, you need to tighten the knob on the toilet, something like that?
Yeah, a lot of it just comes down to wrapping up all of these inspections. We've got to ensure that the fire and the safety and all of the kitchen equipment, everything is working properly and been inspected. There's going to be some minor things that will continue to occur throughout the season, but all the big stuff will be done.
I think,
Steve, I just want to ask you, just only because the state hasn't, said anything specifically about this, about the vandalism, about the graffiti part of it, I just wonder if the state, you guys are huge stakeholders in this whole thing, I just wonder if you guys have anything to say about what happened and maybe getting back on the right course afterwards.
Yeah, first of all, we're just extremely disappointed that anybody would go and do that out at this job. I don't want to say too much more. It's still under investigation by the Erie County Sheriff's Office, so we want to be respectful of that. But we're hoping that it gets cleared up, and we do not expect to have that problem again.
And you think everything is back on course? That's your
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, appreciate that. Thanks.
Any updates on what, I know they're saying doing a first event, a soft event, if you will, before the first Bills games. Anything on what that might be or when that might be?
Yeah, no, we don't have that yet. I can just tell you we are working, the county, the state, and the Bills are all working together on, what sort of the rollout is going to be for ribbon cutting and getting folks in there. Obviously, they've got preseason games, and I think a red and blue game. All those things are expected to occur in the stadium. So, yeah, we're working on it. We'll get back to you shortly.
Just candidly, we're easing into it. That's a football-first facility. It's a grass field. We want to make sure we're not doing anything that's going to take away from that first game that takes place there. So, we're going to have a number of smaller events to kind of introduce the fans to the building, get people comfortable, make sure we're running the tests. But I think the first big major event in that building will be the blue and red scrimmage.
Wrapping up the agenda this week, Rob Hackford highlights a city institution that is closing its doors after 175 years.
These tools of a trade scattered throughout M. Steffens and Sons are being lost to history. The soul of a business in cabinets, boxes, and drawers passed down through 5 generations. Linda Steffen is the last. After 175 years on Main Street in Buffalo, it's too difficult for Linda to speak about, but the walls will do plenty of talking. The Sons got their start in 1851, at a time when leather was cut by hand, each piece shaped and stained for shoes, belts, and handbags. It has been 48 years in this place. The dust, thick, collecting on things you just don't see anymore. Shoe stretchers and tax returns from 1935, when Linda's grandpa George was running around. Stocking zippers, stamps, miles of laces, and every bag of buckles you could want. Linda has been running the show for 32 of the Steffen saga. Sorting and selling, part of the process of letting go. A sales book from 1890 discovered. The writing is crisp and curved as the day it was written, when a boot tree cost just over $2 and purchases made a sound. Piles of polish and countless clips, things Linda is still uncovering. The more you search, the more the store speaks, and the harder it is for Linda to turn the page on M. Steffens and Sons towards a well-earned retirement. On your side in Buffalo, Rob Hackford, Channel 2 News.
A thing like that. Thank you for that great report, Rob. That's going to do it for the agenda this week. Remember, the news never stops on WGRZ+. Next week, we continue our screaming into the void. Thanks again for watching. I'm Nate Benson, and we'll see you at the next one. News of that tax hike has been... Thanks for spending some time with me on this weekend. No, stop ad-libbing, Nate, you idiot. 3, 2. I gotta get one of these right. Like, I can't just stumble my way through all of them. I don't know. Do I have to?